Okay, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to Verita School. I see all my favorite faces here. Thank you for showing up and making it here. I see all my teachers and staff here. I know it's not a big group, and I know it was a big commitment for all of you to come tonight. It was a last-minute announcement. We had the opportunity to have a couple of gentlemen here who are joining the school to really help us take it to the next level. And I wanted you to have a chance to meet them and to hear what they have to say and to hear what we've been working so hard on for a while now. You've all been a part of the school for at least since the start of this year. Most of you have been here for a longer amount of time. And you've been a committed, dedicated family to our growth and what we're doing. And I'm so grateful for all of you and so grateful you could all be here. We're also recording this for those that are not here so we can share this, because I really think that this is an important time for the school, and I think we have some important things happening that's worth sharing with everyone. So it'll be an interesting evening. What I would like to request is some time for them to do their presentation, and then when they're done with their presentation, I have some paper, some note cards, and some test-approved number 2 pencils for you to put a note with a question if you'd like us to answer a question for you, or you're welcome to come up and speak to Tim and Chris or Damien and ask your question with them. So we'll be hanging out afterwards for questions. Rather than disrupting the whole presentation, we can do it. We can do the questions when the meeting is over. Okay? Okay. So Mr. Damien has put together this team to take the school to the next level. And it's more about integrating the 3 schools into one cohesive school so that when you start at an earlier school, you can transition all the way through graduation successfully and go off to the university of your choice, hopefully. This team has come in place. They have a plethora of experience. They've worked with schools around the world. They'll tell you more about themselves, but they are here on a permanent basis as support. They won't always be on campus or at the school, but they're on a permanent basis as support to take us through the next phase of our evolution, and they're going to share with you what that means and what that looks like and how we're going to be doing it. So I will let them introduce themselves, but really what I'd like to do without further ado is introduce our amazing head of school, Mr. Damien Warren.
I want to start with this council, this academic council is really important for us. This is about how do we transition, as Michael said, from the small acorn into the great oak tree. I believe that this team and all of the staff in school and you, as our most important stakeholders, along with the children, you're going to help us to make this the most incredible success it can be. Okay. I want to start with Mason. Mason may be new to you, but not to me. Mason was my right hand in Romania. He is a superstar. He's the kind of person that you can really lift you up. I can pick the phone up to him and just say, I need you to ring me. And he's 8.5 or 9 hours in Canada behind me, and I will get a call. And that's the kind of person you want in your life. So he's going to be coming in September, or August actually, with his 4 children, who'll all be going into primary, which is great, and his wife, and they are coming on this journey with us. Now, I'm not going to say any more yet about Mason because he's going to talk to you himself.
Hi there, I'm Mason McCormick, part of the Verita Academic Council. My background is in school leadership and data-informed instruction. I've been a principal, a consultant, and a faculty member, helping schools achieve learning outcomes. This includes at Verita in Bucharest and in Ontario, Canada. Together with Tim and Chris, we're leading a renewed focus on academic excellence at Verita, ensuring that all students from early years to secondary develop the skills, discipline, and readiness for Verita for top universities around the world and beyond. We hope you join us this Wednesday, November 19th, as we share our vision for the future of Verita and the steps we're taking to raise academic standards. Hope to see you there.
So, Yeah, Mason is Canadian. Mason is full of life. Mason, he spends a lot of time crafting the most beautiful letters about teaching and learning. It is his true passion. Okay, so he's going to be joining us, and then to my left here are two gentlemen that I've got to know very well. Tim I knew already from our sister school in Romania, and also Chris, who I've had the great pleasure of meeting this week properly, only by email before that. But Chris was recommended to us as the kind of person that could help us really in our journey. And I'm going to pass over, I think it's to Tim first.
Okay, thank you. Hi, welcome. So I'm very, very excited to be here in Greece. My name is Tim Springham, and I'm actually the current head of early years and primary at the sister school in Romania, at Verita, Romania. I've actually been in international educational leadership now for 21 years in 5 different countries in 6 different schools. And so I've been very, very fortunate in that time to experience schools which have experienced rapid growth in their enrollments. And with rapid growth comes sometimes some interesting issues about how we can develop the ethos from a small school and continue that ethos into a large school. And that's why I've been invited to come and join the Academic Council to give advice and help strategize so that we can continue to keep the magic of Verita as we mature into an all-through school from early years through to year 13. I'm now going to hand over to Chris, who's going to introduce himself and talk a little bit about this meme that we have.
So my name is Chris Grulich. Many people don't remember my name, so students ended up calling me Mr. G. So there are many places in Central Europe I turn up and it's Mr. G. So for 30 years now, I've been teaching 11 to 19-year-olds. So I pick them up from primary school and I wave them off to the universities, and there are universities around the world where I'm very proud to say my students have studied, and I can land now in almost every major city of the world and have a cup of coffee with a former student, including here in Athens. There's a doctor with 3 children who I'm trying to convince to bring them here to Verita. And we will go for a cup of coffee. So of the 30 years, 15 years have been in or leading school teams. And then on top of that, the last 2 projects I was involved building or establishing and growing 2 international boarding schools, where as the head of school, I had the pleasure of living with the boarding students, so I knew them 24/7, happy, sad, breakups with boyfriends, girlfriends, the lot, we did it, and it was an amazing experience. And I'm very, very happy to be here as part of the Verita community, because now I also add my expertise as a consultant and a leadership trainer for schools and organizations. And as part of that, you can see that Tim and I are very at home in school environments. We walk in, we relate to staff and children as if we were in our own schools. And staff and children do things like this. Very quickly, this is Adrianos. So, we said to him, could you create a meme? He said, no problem. And here it is, okay? So I'm going to explain first the process we've been doing for the last few days. Could we get that? We wanted you to understand that what Damien explained is very normal for us in schools that are 5, 6, 7 years old. The reason for that is you grow. You've seen your children grow. I have parents say to me, it's incredible how fast my children are growing. I said, no, it's incredible how fast you're growing to keep up with your children. And the funny thing about that is growth is not the same for everyone. It's not. Look at your children. Growth happens at different speeds. Suddenly, children go on summer, come back more mature, taller, different. We go from child to tweenie to teeny to young adult, and then we have to say goodbye, which I've done with my 2 daughters, and they head off. And it's very important to understand that we know what it's like to walk in as heads of school, meet other heads, meet staff, not just academic staff. We meet the administration staff. We want to meet anybody who is involved in cleaning, cooking, greeting you at the gate. All of them are part of the ethos or the philosophy of a school. And when you walk into a school, you can learn what that philosophy is in the first 3 hours. You can feel it. And so we were able to walk in here and feel what it was like to be in a Verita school. And I have to tell you, with all the many schools we've been in, okay, it was clear that here philosophy is important to everybody. And so this is very normal for us. The first stage of growth becomes the second stage of growth. What we did the last 3 days, we have talked to as many people as we can. We have moved around, we have talked through meetings, we have dropped into classrooms, we have sat in the corridor with the children and discussed what it was like to be at Verita. We asked, why Verita? What is it that you feel? What is the thing that is different to other schools you have been in and where you came from? And we learned from these answers. And even Maria brought me a year 13 girl who was interested or is interested in studying design. But she is not sure how to navigate design universities. Now she has the phone number of my daughter, who is a designer in the Netherlands and a professor at her design college, because the next step up is, where am I going to go? What am I going to learn next when Verita has given me all the tools I need to be ready? And so we look at this journey. We went down to early years, primary school, and then we spent a lot of time here in the secondary school. It was listening. We took so many notes. We have so many to go back through. And then we shared these notes with the leadership of the school, and we went on to this next part, which essentially, if it pops up, and technology does this, okay, was that essentially what we did was we immediately drafted a plan. From experience, we walked around and went, oh, they've got this, they've done this is already good. What could we do about this? How do we add to this? And we realized that there is an amazing way for what has been done in the primary school with the story of each child coming through to progress through another stage of school, which for me is the middle stage, and then finish off with the examination stage, which is very clear and required after school by the universities. And then we wave them goodbye, and here's the best bit, we greet them back as alumni. And alumni is very important. Now you're going to get a look at my age. I recently went to an alumni of graduates from 30 years ago. Yes, that's how old I am. I was not very old when I started teaching them, and the doctor here in Athens was one of the alumni who came. And they came from the United States, Asia, and all over Europe just to see each other again and to catch up with their teachers from that time. So we drafted a plan, and I say drafted because it needs the voices of parents, administration, students, and staff. And with that plan, you work towards short and long-term actions, not talk, things you do, and that is geared to academic excellence and leaving school. And this plan, and we'll see how this pops up, we just simply said is Verita 2.0. We take what is already there. They always say when you see amazing things, and I need to tell you this, because we have built schools. I know what it is like when schools suddenly go through a growth spurt and you are moving to cover everything, and you need to go into this second stage of growing. And with this, what we're aiming to do is give them the real academics, because we don't have to give them anymore the love of the school. There is a philosophy, it's very simple. When children love to go to school and love to learn, they learn. When they don't want to come through that gate, you can do what you want. Many of them will not learn. So philosophy first, and then you put this on top. And it's Verita 2.0, and I'm very glad to see that people are here, and I would like you to then talk about it with other parents, other staff, new parents. And to give you an idea of what Verita 2.0 looks like, I'll hand back to Tim. And remember, it's a draft. It needs your voices. All right, thank you.
I wish I could talk as well as Chris. However, what we found working together this week is that Chris is very good at understanding the big picture and making the narrative and understanding. And what I do is the detail and the plan and the bullet points. And we've bounced off really well this week, and it's going to be a great working partnership. So Verita 2.0, what is it, and how does it affect you as parents and improve your children's lives at our school? Well, we know that transition from primary to secondary is a concern and is something that can always be improved in every school. We said that we are one school with 3 sites. However, the children see that it's a very different feel to a school when they have to be a different part of Athens, 15 minutes away. It just feels very, very different. So we're improving the transition from primary to secondary for students and parents through a stronger middle school identity. What is middle school? It's a new phrase that you're going to hear a lot of. Essentially, secondary school is divided into 2 key divisions. 7, 8 and 9, which we call middle school, and 10, 11, 12, 13, which is high school. What is middle school? It is essentially an extension of all the great things that we do in primary. What is year 7? Well, year 7 is essentially year 6, but with suntans. Okay? We should be taking all the best practices that we do in primary and in year 6 and transitioning them along to year 7. So it takes away that fear factor. I had the great privilege to be able to speak to some year 7 students this week and also some year 6 students when I visited primary. And I was able to say to them, I said to the children, who's going to Verita Secondary next year? They all put their hands up, which was great. I then said, are you looking forward to it? And they went, no, not a little bit sure. It's all the essays we're going to have to write. That's a myth. It's all the really, really big kids that will be unfriendly to us. That's a myth. It'll be kids that flush their heads down the toilets. That's a myth. So the transition plan from January through to June, but it's all about myth busting. There will be some key ambassadors from years 7 and 8 coming to visit the year 6 kids to talk to them about these myths, to talk to them what it's really like in secondary. There will be great opportunities for them to come up every month to secondary to experience different sides of the curriculum that we do here. There will also be a curriculum that we've blended so that they start a project in the end of their primary years and they continue it in year 7, and it's taught equally by secondary teachers coming to primary and primary teachers moving on to secondary for that project, all with the intention of reducing that anxiety and building up confidence that they're just making a step from 6 to 7 like they did from 5 to 6 and like they do from 7 to 8. It's just a natural step. We'll also be inviting you as parents to be coming, if you're Year 6 parents, to be coming to the school to see all the things that we're doing so that you can be sure of your child's future here. We're also going to be talking about academic progress a lot more in secondary. I had the great fortune to be speaking to a number of parents this morning at a drop-in, and I said to them, what I don't understand, because they're all very positive about secondary. They're talking about how caring the teachers are, how much the children are settled and happy, and how the cell approach and ethos is continuing through. So I said, so what's the reputation? Why is there a myth or a reputation out there that, you know, secondary is not as good? And they said, well, we think it's just the fact that there's not enough results out there. We don't know what the end product is. And as we know, we're a very, very young secondary. We only had the first crop of GCSE results end of last year. What I do know as an educator and seeing for the last 3 days is that there are so many more data points that are available within Year 7 to 12. We are seeing outstanding progress in children, not just on their individual journeys, but also when you compare that progress as a cohort to other international schools in Athens and beyond. We're going to be communicating those progress points a lot more with you so that you can really understand that progress is being made, students are on the right path to having fantastic academic outcomes. Now, academic excellence in learning and teaching. When I first qualified as a teacher back in 1997, okay, our understanding of learning and the child's brain was actually fairly primitive to what our understanding is now. And every year we're seeing more and more information coming to how the neurons in the brain develop, how children's neurons are being affected by their addiction to their smartphones and screen time. We're understanding and we're constantly adapting our teaching style towards what we know. So the great policies we've got in place right now are not necessarily the great policies in how we teach going to be next year, the year after. The key to evolving schools that are always at the top end is having the policies that are up to date with brain research and science. The teachers are fully trained in understanding how to teach to the best way they possibly can, so your children can learn in the most effective ways going forward. They will drive academic excellence at Verita. Improved communication with channels with parents. I know I've heard from parents and some teachers that we're not very good at communicating some things to parents. What we're doing is reorganizing and reviewing our organization channels within the school so that we communicate you in a more timely and effective manner going forward, which gives you confidence that we know what we're doing. We know what we're doing inside, but if you get a mixed message about homework, PTCs, things like that, that's the first message you're getting. That's what we want to communicate, is all the great things we're doing in that timely and organized manner, and we've got things in place already to improve those communication channels. Let me just tell you, reminder that what Chris said is pain points like this are normal in rapidly expanding schools. It's where we have systems that worked for a school of 200, 100 kids aren't always the same systems that work with 500 kids plus. And what we're doing here is bringing our expertise so we can adapt the current policies and systems so that we can continue with the strong ethos that we had when we were a small school. So, the Verita 2.0 implementation, that needs an implementation group, because this isn't just driven from the top, from Leslie and Michael. This is a team that is involving all stakeholders. What do I mean by all stakeholders? I mean key people within the school who are really keen to take on challenges, to contribute ideas from the school teaching staff. We mean students from the student council and from different surveys that we will set up to get their input and ideas on how we are delivering on Verita 2.0. And very, very important, we're also getting feedback from you as well, so that you can be part of the implementation group as well, because we have to have all stakeholders part of this collaborative process moving forwards. All this is to ensure that we continue to ingrain the Verita ethos with academic excellence. What I've been so privileged to see over the last 4 days is the way that Michael and Leslie just greet everyone with open arms and share that love and the ethos of the school physically, one to every person that they meet. Now, Michael's arms aren't big enough to give 500,000 parents a hug every day. So what's so vitally important is that we put the systems in place so you still feel the love through the policies and the actions of the whole team. The staff team now is 100 plus, isn't it? And it's going to carry on growing. So we're sharing that love through everyone so that we keep that key ethos there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. It's been a great pleasure to work with these two gentlemen and with Mason, obviously still at distance, but you know he's very much part of the team, and so have the staff in school that have joined us this evening. We had a good meeting with them today as well. It's about making sure that everybody is on board. And just in conclusion, it's the continuity of ethos. I'll go back to my little acorn. Yeah? How do we make it into that tree? How do we connect our communities? 3 buildings. We've got, where's Kobe? We've got Kobe, we've got Anna here from primary and early years. How do we connect better? And we need to connect that community better in as many ways as we can. And challenge to be the best versions of ourselves. I say to the children often, when I see them doing things, you know, I want you to be the best version of yourself. Because then when you go out into the world and somebody says to you, where did you go to school? And you say, I went to Verita. And they say, oh, because. And they'll comment on something, your kindness, your compassion, your resilience, your ability to collaborate, your ability to be kind and gentle and generous with other people. We need to keep kindness at the center of everything we do. In order to do that, that acorn then flourishes and becomes that, not a sapling, not a big oak tree, but a mammoth event. Thank you all.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to say I don't know what Tim was talking about when he said I couldn't hug you all, because I can and I will, for sure.
I haven't banned the hug.
So thank you. So I know that this was a brief introduction to what we're looking to do and how we're going about doing it. I wanted you to meet the team and see how committed and how serious we are about this. This isn't a short-term project. This team will be with us for years. This is a team that's going to take us to the next level and provide the kind of school that we think your students deserve, the kind of environment that we want to work in, and the kind of place where the teachers are proud to be a part of. All of our teachers, or a lot of our teachers, showed up here today. Our new CFO, Katarina, showed up today. It's really an indication of how much they care about your kids and they care about the education of your children. And I'm so grateful for that. And I'm so grateful to my families for being here and making the journey on a Wednesday night in the traffic and just hearing about this. I want to share this with all of our families. I want all of them to know how deeply we're committed to this and how serious we are about this. And I want you to know that we're available to answer your questions, to support you in a way that you need to be supported, and to hopefully give you the confidence and the knowledge that your kids attending Verita School will go off to conquer the world. And that's our vision. Excuse me. So with that being said, we have papers up here and we have pencils, but all 3 of them will be here along with myself and Leslie. We want to take this time for you to come talk to them casually, to write your questions down if you don't want to speak to them in person. But this is really not them standing up in front of you presenting to you, but they'll be wandering around amongst you and answering whatever questions or whatever you need to know. The next step for everyone is we will have meetings within each of the campuses that get into the specifics of what we're doing. We're going to have meetings for the year 6 group and really articulate the plan for moving them on to year 7. And then we're going to talk to the upper secondary school and articulate the exam, graduation, and university process. And they have laid that all out in a very uniform, very structured, very comprehensive way so we know what to do and how to do it. And we're there, But I always think we can do better, and that's our job, to continuously improve so that your kids can flourish and thrive at Verita. So with that, thank you, Tim. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Mr. Damien. And ask them all the questions you want. Go at it. Good night.
Year 6 is about year 7 and 8 ambassadors. Do that. The second half of the book will be in secondary.